know, Meek and Willie, we're talking about this Trump rally, and of course people have the right to go to a Trump rally inside a place if they want to. I think there are a lot of Trump people that would say, hey, well, wait a second, if all these protesters can go out in the streets, why can't Donald Trump have rallies inside a building?
Yeah.
It's a good question. In fact, we're very concerned, and we have been very concerned about the rallies out in the street, very concerned about people who aren't wearing masks, very concerned about the lack of social distancing. And Willie, a lot of public health officials have said that's going to cause a spike in the coronavirus. We'll say it now like we've been saying it for months. This virus is a killer. And it doesn't care whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, a conservative, a liberal, white, black, Hispanic, Asian American. Doesn't matter what you are. It will kill you if you come into contact with it and you have an underlying condition, or sometimes even if you don't have an underlying condition. So the mere fact that some people may have taken health care risks in the street doesn't seem to be a good justification to take more health care risks inside of an auditorium. But again, it's a free country. If people want to do it, they can do it. But Donald Trump has told them you could get COVID-19 by doing that. And if you do get COVID-19 by doing that, that's your problem, not ours.
Yeah, here's what we pointed out in our last hour. Here is a disclaimer on the Trump campaign website to register for the rally next week in Tulsa around concerns for the coronavirus. Here's where it says, by clicking register below, you're acknowledging that an inherent risk of exposure to COVID-19 exists in any public place where people are present. By attending the rally, you and any guests voluntarily assume all risks related to exposure to COVID-19 and agree not to hold Donald J. Trump for President, Inc., Box Center, ASM Global, or any of their affiliates, directors, officers, employees, agents, contractors, or volunteers liable for any illness or injury. Come to the rally, sign the waiver. If you get COVID-19, it's not our fault. That's what they're asking attendees at the Trump rally next week to say. Meanwhile, issues around the date of that rally. Black community and political leaders are calling on President Trump to change the date from the day that marks the end of slavery in America, known as Juneteenth, calling it a, quote, slap in the face. According to the Associated Press, two Trump campaign officials say the campaign knew of the historical context behind the date, but are not considering changing it. Here's how the White House press secretary responded yesterday.
The African-American community is very near and dear to his heart. At these rallies, he often shares the great work he has done for minority communities. He's working on rectifying injustices that go back to the very beginning of this country's history. So it's a meaningful day to him, and it's a day where he wants to share some of the progress that's been made as we look forward at more that needs to be done, especially as we're looking at this police reform.
So not only is Juneteenth, the date, considered offensive, but the location, Tulsa, Oklahoma, is as well. In 1921, it was the site of a fiery, orchestrated white-on-black massacre that killed as many as 300 people in that city. So, Yamiche Alcindor, I know you've been reporting out this story. Jonathan Lemire and his Associated Press story saying the White House knew it was Juneteenth. I think some people said, well, maybe considering this group, maybe they didn't even know it was Juneteenth or know what Juneteenth is or the meaning behind Juneteenth to a lot of people in this country. But actually, the reporting is they did know and couldn't have imagined that it was going to be such a problem for so many people.
This is, I think, a historic day for America, not just the African-American community. Juneteenth is the day where we at least decided to start that march toward the idea that Americans were all going to be equal at some point. We haven't reached that point yet. So when we think about Juneteenth and the end of slavery and what that means to America, and then you think about the fact that the president's going to be gathering with what we can frankly say is going to be likely an a majority white crowd in Tulsa, Oklahoma, it just seems like the optics to a president who really cares about optics, that the optics would have been seen as bad at this White House. I've been talking to officials. They think that this is something that isn't, they didn't expect, I think, this backlash They also, of course, were eager to have the president return to the campaign trail. He's been very, very eager to get back to be in those settings where he can kind of go on for long periods of time and be around crowds that kind of love him and cheer him. But the idea that he's having it in Tulsa, Oklahoma, this was a community that was called the Black Wall Street. This was a community where white Americans decided that they didn't like the fact that black people had wealth and had happiness and had peace. And as a result, they burned it to the ground and terrified black people out of their homes. That's what President Trump is going into when he goes into Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I cannot imagine that this is going to be something that is not going to be rife with protests, rife with tension. And I know the president often says that he wants to be an ally to the African American community, but I think that this complicates even further the outreach that he's trying to do to African Americans who already largely don't trust him and who already largely think that he is racist because of the plethora of things that he's done in the past. So I think that the White House, though, is still feeling good about this. The president doesn't want to be seen as backing down from critics and backing down from criticism. But I think this is going to be a really, really tough one because he's going to have to continue to explain why he wanted to not only do this on Juneteenth, which again is not a holiday just for African Americans, it's a holiday for America, and then on the site of this massacre, one of the worst moments of racial violence in our country.
He's incredibly out of step with where the country is. It's really becoming increasingly clear.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.